Time for our post-Main Tryout Camp visit with head coach Nick Bruneteau. It's our Toro talk ahead of the preseason, which will start here in a couple of weeks. Nick, how are you guys doing? What did you see from your team this weekend?
Well, I thought it was a great weekend. Obviously being our second year as coaches, we had a little bit of something to benchmark it off of from last year, and I thought it was significantly better than last year's tryout camp, and I think that's a big part of that is having so many veterans come back and returners, and on top of that, some of the guys that we identified as players coming in here, I thought were very high end, and they're going to be big pieces for this season.
Checked off a lot of boxes on the wish list last year, the to-do list. Top two finish in the division. Got within one win of bringing the team back to the Frazier Cup under a new name. Sounds like the hope this year is to take care of the rest of those boxes now here in year two.
Yes, definitely. The goal is to win a Frazier Cup. That's obviously our only goal. But we're very aware that in order to make that happen, we need to worry about the day-to-day operations and not look too far ahead.
Just talking with you a little bit before the camp started, it sounds like defense will be a very strong group this year. Based on what we saw in the camp, it's going to be a deep group.
Yes, very deep. Made a lot of hard decisions for us this weekend. I thought there was 12 defensemen that could have played for us and are still going to find places in this league and have success. But we're returning 5 guys, and then we really like some of the guys we brought in. I thought Braden Junker was excellent this weekend. I thought Max Barrington was very good. So was Joe Potter. So we really like where our group's at right now, and like you said, I think defensively we're in a really good spot.
Will there be any confusion this year between Joe Potter on the Toros and Joey Potter potentially coming back to the North Iowa Bulls, especially since they're both blue liners?
Yeah, they're both defensemen, the same name, they're the same age. The only thing difference is one's a lefty and one's a righty. So the Joe Potter for us is a left-hand shot, just so the fans know.
And let's talk about the goaltending a little bit here, too. Eric Chafe has moved on to the North Iowa Bulls, and obviously Owen Carlson, we saw him on the bench as an alumni coach here a little bit here this weekend at camp. So the goaltending is going to be brand new. How do things look right now?
Well, I think we're in a really good spot, and similar to the defenseman scenario, we had a lot of tough decisions to make this weekend. And Connor Graham will be with us next season, and he'll be at our Bulls training camp, and then we had a tough decision to make this weekend between Van Daniker and Ortolano, and they both played extremely well, and it was a very hard decision when you have two excellent goalies and two goalies that are excellent people too. So we ended up going with Zach Ortolano, and I think he's going to be a good player for us. He's from Las Vegas. He's a former Shattuck player, so he knows the area. And obviously we have a good connection with that program as well, so I think he'll have a big year as well.
Going back to the defense real quick, it's got to be a nice change from year one where you're a little thin to start out on defense and you're just kind of getting through the first couple of weeks knowing it's going to be a process. We'll get there, but it's going to take a couple of weeks. Yes,
and I think the funny thing with that is I think at times our D get too much love because me being a former defenseman, I always want to try to take care of that, and Keith's running the defenseman. He's always got a good pulse on that as well. So they do get a little bit of the double time, but we think we have some guys that not only are going to have big years, but have the potential to move up to the North American League.
I think calling the group that we saw this weekend the Day Zero roster would probably be putting it a little generously, but how much work is still left to do between the Day Zero roster that you have now and the Day One roster that we'll see up in Breezy Point in a few weeks?
There's definitely going to be some changes, and that comes with the territory with the North American Hockey League. A good amount of our returners and a good amount of our tenders and draft picks made training camp teams, and we really hope they make those teams, but if not, then that creates a little bit of reshuffling around. So we prepared for kind of what we're expecting for a loose number, and we do think we're going to get a few players down at all positions.
Any returners for this team that we didn't see this weekend that just couldn't make it in?
Yes, Colin Hedlund will be here. Obviously, there's a little tough travel when you're from Alaska. It's a little dicey to come down here, go back home, and then come back. So he will be back with us, and I'm sure the fans remember him. He's a super skilled player, ran our power play for majority of the season, and he should be back and having another big year.
Brought in the Wausau Cyclones, brought in the New Ulm Steel. What are some of the advantages to bringing in some other teams, some new faces, and playing this camp in a showcase format as opposed to let's fill up as many teams as we can and make some cuts from there?
Well, I think for one, it's good for our players to play against not just themselves. I think then the games get a little bit chippier. They simulate more what the season would look like, and I think that's always a good thing. And the one thing that I was struck by is what a good job both those coaches have done. They are significantly improved from last year, and if you look at Wausau, every year Colin's been there, they've increased their win total, and that's a testament to the amazing job he's done there. And Alex North, when he took over New Ulm in the middle of the year, it was a little bit of a dumpster fire, for lack of a better term, and he quickly got them right back on track. And me and Marquis significantly, we really remember playing against those guys when he took the bench, and the games got much more difficult for us. And on paper, they're much more improved, and we saw that this weekend. So I expect big things from both of those teams as well, and that's why we had them out here, is we want our guys to play against the best, and we want them to get tested.
It feels like it gives it more of a preseason feel with different uniforms and different groups of guys on the ice, and just, hey, it's camp, we're knocking the numbers down a little bit. These are preseason games right now, even if they're not played under the same rules.
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid for the camps, and that's a big piece, and that's why we kind of shifted the structure into power plays and penalty kills, and not just the breakaway penalty shots. But I think it benefits all the teams, and we're hoping that we can continue to do this, in the years coming up.
One guy that we didn't get a chance to see much of last year, just because of injuries and everything that happened to him last year, I thought he had a great camp this weekend, was Dylan Duxon. He was out on the ice at Bulls camp, just kind of as a test drive coming back from those injuries. The way he looked this weekend, he certainly looks like he's back at game speed.
Yes, he does. He's another one of those guys we think is going to have a huge year. And the great thing about Duxon is he can play everywhere, and he can play every role. And as coaches, those guys are always easy to work with, because you can envision them in so many different roles. He can play power play, he can play penalty kill, he could be matching lines to shut guys down, or he could be playing on the top line and trying to produce points. So he's a guy that had a tough injury last year, and we thought he was going to do big things, and he's really taken the injury and getting back healthy seriously, and we know he's going to have a big year.
All right, you got the what's the report date look like? What's the preseason routine look like, including that big exhibition game? We haven't gotten a chance to talk about it yet, against the Frisk Asker U20 team.
Yep.
out of Frisk, Norway.
Yep. So we'll be playing them on September 11th, and our report date will be the 6th. I think playing Frisk will be a good game. It's actually their senior team, their pro team, was a team I spent a lot of time playing against when I was in the Norwegian League, so I have a history with them, and I know it's not the same team, but I was never really a big fan of them, so I'll have a little extra motivation going into that game, but I know our players will be ready, and I know it'll be a good test before our first game.
You'll see that Frisk Asker logo on the uniform. The steam will still be coming out of your ears, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I had the last laugh that season, though. So,
all right, Nick Bruneteau with our Toro talk here following the main tryout camp up here in Mason City. Nick, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Austin.